Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. This is Kaga. Today I have a little bit of a nice replay for you all. This particular carrier replay, that's right, carriers. In particular, the Tier 8 Japanese carrier, the Shoukaku, which demonstrates that even with basic bombing patterns and just a general awareness of the map, and you can achieve great things with this particular carrier. So long as you're paying attention to both the general situation of the map, but also in how the dispositions of your team and the enemy team are evolving through the course of the battle, and you're not sticking primarily to the tactical map, just seeing the giant command and conquer style top-down view, or you're not staying too close towards your bombers at any one point on the map. So this is a domination match on the Two Brothers map. That's the one with the weird set of islands in the center of the map that from the top down kind of look like an arrowhead with that strange inlet going from one side of the island to the other. So right now this is a tier 8 maximum game as I recall, and there is a fair number of enemy cruisers. Interestingly enough, there are no destroyers to try to rain on our parade today. So I'm looking at the map here. I haven't set course just yet with the carrier, but nonetheless, I am launching what I have, getting the fighters orbiting the carrier for the moment, and the bombers just off in the distance from the actual ship, so I can start clearing the decks, and by the time enemy ships are spotted, I should have a much better positioning of my aircraft already in place, so the time lag between detection and bombing is lessened to the best extent that I can at any given time. Right now I'm looking at the positions of the map, and I've begun swinging my vessel, the actual carrier, off towards the western side of the map here, trying to stay in a nice little 3x4 pocket from A row to C row and column 1 through column 4 for the moment, because I see a particularly nice disposition of friendly vessels forming a picket along the C to D line that is developing, and I also see those cruisers forming a nice picket along this inlet here. You see my bombers kiting along, trying to get vision on any ships that might be coming around, and I immediately turn my bombers around because I see those cruisers. I want no part of that just yet. It's a little early in the battle to warrant losing that many planes against very well defended targets, very dense clusters of anti-air artillery. So let's go searching around the map. Let's find a less... Oh, are those torpedoes? Wow, Yusilia area of denial against a destroyer. Okay. So I've spotted a nice target, and using the multiple, or should I say sequential command techniques here, I have vectored my dive bombers in on this New Mexico, who has foolishly gone off on his own. And let's go ahead, let's line up this attack, and we'll do an automatic drop just because this is number 1 attack of the game. No need to feel a little greedy at this point in time. This is just to get some damage onto him. I've pulled the bombers back to try to bait him into using his repair or his damage control ability, and he has. I have purposely slowed down by diverting my bombers around here to try to make it so that his damage control parties have already finished working by the time this final spread of torpedoes hits, and we get some more floods in there. We knock out his engine, and we'll be content to watch him suffer flooding damage from the vantage point of these fighters. And that's one thing that a carrier driver can make use of in matches where they don't have an opposing CV to deal with, is that their fighters have a few roles. The first that you can use them, and probably the more well known for these, is to act as a bit of like a protected scout, if you will, and to use them to reconnoiter enemy positions. And yes, you can see that New Mexico is feeling the sting of those torpedoes even now, as he's shed a significant amount of health since we last saw him. The other way you can utilize fighters is to use them to deal with those enemy fighter float planes on cruisers, which are a little ridiculous if you actually think about what they do as a single plane. But we'll try not to ponder that too much. Is that a torpedo? A lone torpedo going through the inlet there? I wonder if we have someone new here. But now that my second strike is now ready, I've looked at the map, and I see that giant fur ball of AA is still in play, so I want no part of that with my planes just yet. Carrier operations are all about stretching your combat capabilities throughout the match. It's more imperative that you're able to do consistent damage through the entire match rather than a few very strong alpha strikes. Well, you can do the same amount of damage in either strategy. I feel that the overall strategy picture that you're looking at here, it probably behooves more carrier drivers, especially the Japanese carrier drivers, which currently have very fast rearm times and very fast flight times to target. It's just not worth it for most people. You get those nice quick strikes, nice basic things, harder to go wrong, but here we go. We're going to join our dive bombers here, and using the Alt command there, you see the spread tighten up considerably. This is manual dive bombing. So long as you can effectively gauge the lead on your target, this is a great way to increase the damage you deal to enemy battleships, armored cruisers, heavy cruisers rather, and especially against enemy carriers. But enough about that. There are none of them in this battle. So there went our dive bombers. They managed to set that New Mexico on fire, and I'm prioritizing him because at the moment he's the furthest away from that Otago, so the effects to my torpedo bombers coming in here should be lessened. Interesting. I didn't know planes could fly through mountains. Wargaming, you're so silly. So I switched targets, seeing that now the Otago has caught up. We managed to get off a nice manual drop spread there. We connect one of the four because he turned into it. It knocks out his engine, causes some flooding. I imagine he got that back up online, but in doing so, he rendered himself completely open to this strike, again knocking out his engine, causing more flooding. Ooh, we're gonna watch him flood for a bit here. Kind of cruel at the same time, you know. What, a cruiser getting floods at that particularly low amount of HP. And for those of you who are joining us from World of Tanks or not familiar with World of Warships, even 15,000 health on a cruiser, especially at tier 8, that is perilously low health, considering that it doesn't really matter if you're talking about torpedoes or battleship guns. That is one-shot territory for many things in this game. So here we are. We're now with our other fighter squadron. We recalled the original one to 1, rearm, and 2, because I need to keep eyesight on this cluster here because I plan to keep attacking them. But the other squadron had been taking some sustained fire, so in order to do that, I'd ridden the risk of unnecessary losses. And as you're going to see, them floods. Boom! We'll eat that Atago for lunch. Next, please. And now we're going to join our dive bombers again. Kind of having this moment of New Mexico, Wyoming, New Mexico, Wyoming, New Mexico, Wyoming. Swing back out. I guess it's New Mexico. Here we are, adjusting the aim point for Squadron 7, and now that they've adjusted, we'll show that we can miss just as nicely with the manual dive bombing as much as we could with an automatic drop. So not wasting any more time with them, we pull off those drops nice and quick, minimize damage on the way in and the way out for those bombers. And now our torpedo bombers are back in the area, and you'll notice I've swung the carrier around again, because that's a little close for comfort, especially with nobody between myself and these battleships. So right now I'm beginning to vector in my torpedo bombers here. I'm getting in lineup on this New Mexico. I've put this right here to plant in. It's an okay spread. 2 hits of 3 right there into the flank of the New Mexico. No flooding though. It's unfortunate. Could have really liked it. I guess he wasn't turning hard enough for the torpedoes to pass over or under his bulge, his torpedo bulge armor, I mean. And we managed to that one. We get 1 dud off the rear of the New Mexico and 2 hits on the Wyoming. That's nice for any day's work there. Alright, back to base, bombers. And just joined our Squadron 3, and you can see that in addition to those 2 battleships, there's an Otago and a Cleveland. I definitely don't want to be on this side of the map. Clevelands are flamethrowers if you guys are new to the game. They're evil. They're evil. It doesn't matter whether it's a carrier, a high-tier cruiser, or even a battleship. Those things just spit fire, burn everything to death. So, being in something that is basically steel, wood, and avgas, that's the last thing I want firing on me, so yeah, I'm out of there. But that doesn't mean my bombers aren't going to get a little wordy and edgewise here. So I'm choosing specifically to engage the battleships on this run because they're still out of effective firing range from the AA on those enemy cruisers. And even with them steaming in, their defensive fire ability will not be able to help these battleships out in any way there. We get only 1 there because of a bad lead. Should have put that one a little bit more in front. But we'll take it. 1 hit's better than none. But second one, we correct the aim. We put in a massive 4,500 damage and set 2 fires. That New Mexico's having a bad day. But unfortunately, the way out for those bombers is right through the enemy cruiser's field of fire. Originally, I was planning to use these torpedo bombers to deal with that Otago, but I see these only on a couple hundred health. That really is a waste of munitions, unnecessary waste of my time. So, for the moment, I hit he'll live, he'll get away. But I spot this nice juicy target on this Cleveland, and nothing's gonna save this bugger. Nope. There's Squadron 5, followed by Squadron 4. Nice, beautiful, tight bit there for 4 torpedo hits, and he's gone. And possibility of the Wyoming now eating some torpedoes, but he's managed to successfully thread those torpedoes. We've slowed him down. Squadron 3 was taking fire while we were focused on making certain that those torpedoes landed, but we managed to pull them out just in time before they start taking losses. So here we are, we've pulled them back a little bit farther from the Charlie capture point to maintain vision on the enemy cruisers and the battleships coming around. And right now our dive bombers are back up. They're now getting ready to engage the Satago. I have Squadron 6 coming in from the front, and I've vectored Squadron 7 to come in from the rear of the vessel. And we go for another manual drop, but we screwed that one up pretty well, but we were able to land a critical hit, which resets the cat. So we're not going to make the same mistake again. Squadron 7 comes in over the stern of the vessel. We plant in a good lead. They ascend to drop their bombs. Boom! Cap is defended, and the enemy Atago is sunk. Oh, again, let's take a look at the state of the battlefield. The friendly battleship that was helping to defend this flank has been sunk. It looks like there's the 2 battleships that we saw, and there should still be a cruiser floating around here somewhere. So we'll advance our fighters here a little bit so we can get eyes out and be able to better plan our next strike. And there's that enemy Atago, right on schedule. So not wasting any time, the fighters have done their duty. We're going to pull them back to another picket just a little bit farther away so the enemy does not have the opportunity to properly engage them as a cluster. And now our torpedo bombers are in position. I am going to perform a very, very close drop here. Really close. If you look at it, how close it got to the beach there, it was probably about 150 meters from not being able to get that off. Our fighters are coming in to deal with that last enemy fighter float plane. We have him for breakfast. Or is it lunch? Maybe it's dinner where you are. Who am I to make too many comments on that? So, pondered that drop, screwed it up. We'll go for another one very nice and quick. And just to get something down range, one dudded off the stern of the Wyoming. The other one finds the forecastle, and we're able to get one flooding out of that. And you know you're having a decent game when you're looking at your teammates and going, can one of you die? Come on, please. Please, I want to do more. These guys are just sitting there. They're just asking for it. Come on, come on. You just have to sink one for the team. Our team, anyway. Okay, so that aside, we've got our New Mexico here screwing up that manual drop. I instantly switch to a manual. We get one hit and a fire. We follow up with a manual drop and manage to put in 3,000 damage. More fiery goodness. Looks like he waited to use his damage control abilities. Wise play on his part. I was really hoping that they would manage to sink somebody right then, but nope. So this was a fairly good match. It wasn't great, but it was good. Managed to pull up almost 280,000 credits and 3,000 experience. That is not modified in any way. That is almost 3,000 base experience. And it's easy to see why we got the high caliber and the Confederate. We hit 19 of our torpedoes, 12 bombs, and managed to sink 4 enemy vessels with that, and defended the base 5 times. That's pretty good, I'd say. So it's no surprise that we finished top of the team list with as much experience as we had. And I'll be honest, I was looking at what our New York down there at the bottom had done, and I was really hoping that one of them had gotten sunk. I feel a little bad about that, and at the same time I don't, because that was a great round to punctuate a night of just utter crap. So let's go ahead and take a look at the damage. We managed to set 23,000, roughly 23,000 fire damage. Managed to inflict almost 35,000 flooding damage. In terms of direct bomb hits, managed to almost do 16,000 damage. And we were able to do just a little over 106,000 damage in torpedo strikes. And with 125 base defense points, that really does round out, and all of that should explain how we got almost 3,000 base experience. And we'll just summarize all of that damage up to just around 180,000 damage, not really using any advanced bombing techniques, just doing the nice, quick basics. And I hope that really does illustrate that the fundamentals are your strongest weapons, or at least that's what General Iro would probably have to say about this. I'd like to thank you for having bared with me for a little over 20 minutes at this point. I hope that this has been an educational and entertaining video for you all, and I hope that it has given you a different perspective on either using carriers in World of Warships or from the other side of the bomb sight. If you have comments or questions regarding this video, please let me know in the comments. I would love to address them and maybe get a little conversation going about them. I suspect that my next video will be about something from World of Tanks. I'm not certain. Maybe I'll do another 59 Patton video. It's been quite a fun vehicle for me. Or perhaps we'll turn towards some of the Japanese heavies. We'll see. If this video or other content on this channel interests you, please consider subscribing. I would love to see you all around again sometime. So once again, thank you and good day.